It's a difficult truth to accept that human nature is inherently selfish. We have a survival instinct that puts ourselves above all other creatures. It's why when you're on an airplane, you're instructed to put your own mask on before you put the mask on the child sitting next to you. And it's also why you accept that instruction from the airline every time you hear it. Because we know we have a level of required self-preservation that has to come first. So CIA understands that sometimes you need to lean more into motivating someone to take a certain action. Other times you have to manipulate them to take a certain action. But the thing that you cannot compromise on is that you are pursuing a very specific outcome. Whether you have to motivate or manipulate to achieve that outcome, your loyalty first has to be to that outcome. And if something about your ideology or your religious beliefs or your personal convictions make you feel like you don't deserve that outcome, there's nothing that CIA or any other skill can help you with, because you have to be willing to accept the truth of survival instinct and the imperative of individual success as it exists in us as human beings. One of the first things that new recruits are taught how to do is actually talk less and listen more. Because we're taught that there's an element of conversation that's often missed in society. And that element is understanding how to control a conversation. Oftentimes we think that you control a conversation by being the person who talks the most, when in fact you control a conversation by being the person who asks the questions. Because questions direct the topic of conversation. Questions prime the other person to answer whatever it is that you have proposed. Questions are an opportunity for you to collect much more information than just the question that you're asking. And when it comes to being able to quickly assess what someone believes, what they feel, what they think, how they will behave in the future, questions are an incredible tool because you get insight into what is happening behind a person's external demeanor. Because you get a chance to see what people will say and how they will behave when they're distracted processing an answer to your question. That is a more accurate representation of who that person is than when that person is talking on their own, making up their own topics, possibly even repeating something they've repeated 1,000 times.